Hi there, and welcome to Afternoon Tea with the Carnivores. We've got the wonderful carnivore muscle, Jonathan Griffiths, and we have Lee Copus, the Kent Carnivore, which is a subset of the UK Carnivore, I suppose. Kent? I was born in Kent, actually. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat. We've got a gate crasher. Don't worry, we'll get the bouncers to chuck him out in a second. Let me just do my little intro, and then we'll let him in. Yeah, if you've got a question, put QQQ in front of it. It will pop out so we can see the questions. And if you want to jump the queue, then do a super chat. And that will make that pop out and also help the channel. The late arrival is, of course, Mr. Phil Escott, but he's a drummer, so he's obviously beating his own rhythm. Hi, Phil.
Speaking of that.
Well, that's fine. He walks in and goes off.
It's a very important T-shirt I got today, which says the tempo is what I say it is.
That's the drummer. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's it. Sorry for the late thing. I went in my history and I went on to StreamYard and I'm sitting there and it took me ages to figure out the stream has ended. So I just tried to join the last one. So anyway, here I am.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's okay. Anyone got any news? For instance, Lee, have you got an update on anything you want to tell us about?
No, not really. I was just thinking about that. I don't think I've got anything really to say. I can't say. It's a secret.
You've done some blinding videos though.
Yeah, and obviously collaborated with Richard, so that's good. They're all ticking over. I think he gained about 1,500 subscribers, which is awesome. That's the idea. Show him off a little bit because he's got some great knowledge, obviously. So that's about it, really.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Jonathan?
Yeah, so I've got a tear through my left deltoid, a hematoma, which is 5 centimeters. I've had a bone scan a while ago. I'm waiting for results on that. Health's okay. I've got the best blood markers I've ever had, but feel one of the worst I've ever felt in my life, which just goes exactly to show why you can't rely on blood markers. But on the note of what you just asked about, yeah, so my kidney markers, or at least my EGFR, has actually increased again. So I'm actually in an even better state than what I was the last time I mentioned. So I took my EGFR from something like 54 to 92 within a space of about 4 months. That's without any dietary intervention, but adding in some supplements. So that's the cause. It's causal, basically. And you would have thought, post bodybuilding competition, you put your body through hell, get very lean, all that sort of stuff. That all these things would be but worse, but they weren't. They're actually better. So it goes to show getting your body fat in check. I was never fat anyway. I was below 12% body fat anyway. But getting it lower, detoxing the body a little bit, I think has a profound effect. So I'm quite surprised by that. But how about you, Phil? Any news on your end?
Just this amazing week that we had in Spain, really. It was astonishingly good, and I wish you could have all been there, chaps. Just marvelous. I mean, I've got no words about how incredible the place was. Nobody wanted to go home. Speakers are all coming back next year. It was lovely. I said, I thought I'll ask Anthony, Anthony Chafee. I thought I'll ask him on the last day, do you fancy coming back next year? I was thinking, yeah, I'll see if I can get him back. We'd been there about 15 minutes and we were sitting there by the pool chatting. And he looked around, he went, we've got to do this every year. And it really was that good. And that was before it had even started, really. Beautiful place, wonderful people. So yeah, Carnivore Spain, oneword.com. Check out our event page. And if you want to get in there next year, I think it'll sell out quite quickly, but it's longer. 2 days longer because nobody wants to go home, but amazing. Oh, and I got interviewed by the Daily Mail today by this wonderful lady. Actually, she was hilarious, called Amanda Goff, Goff. If you Google her, she's a real character, ex-escort, and she wanted to do an article on carnivore diet and better boners. So am I allowed to say that on this one? What the hell, If Daily Mail can say it, we can say it, eh? But it sounds like it might actually be quite positive. She was cool. So You never know. An article in the Daily Mail on the Viagra diet, apparently. So let's see what that does to boost up carnivore. Funny how these come up, isn't it? You know,
I would trust a mainstream journalist as much as I trust, well, you, Phil.
No, she actually seems pretty cool. It depends what she can get past them. You know, she says she's going to send it to me before she puts it out there. But she was a lot of fun. We were on for about an hour and a half, and she was very cool. She's definitely not your average mainstream journalist, but I know exactly what you mean. Let's see how it turns out, eh?
Yes. Well, I've been the victim of two misrepresentations in the national press many, many, many years ago when I was a bit of a poser. Completely and utterly lied about. One thing was very funny was my girlfriend was a pastry girl. For those in America that don't know, that was somebody that was in a national newspaper, and on page 3 there would be a picture of them scantily clad, I suppose is the best way to put it. And we went to Stringfellows, and she was one of those that was a little bit connected. And she was connected, and she knew Rod Stewart. And we walked out of Stringfellows, the three of us, and the next day in the paper there was a picture of Rod Stewart with his new girlfriend. And I was completely cut out of the photo. So that was quite a funny, rude awakening to it. And one other story, which I won't actually get into because that's how I met her, and that actually got into the press as well. But anyway, right, we got some questions, and we've got some nice people here, but we've got no super chats yet. Don't forget you can super chat. But let's get this first question from Carol Millington, which always makes me laugh when I see that surname, because wasn't that Spike Milligan? He used to call himself Spile Millington or something, that well-known spelling error. Anyway, Carol said, just got a glucose monitor. My result was 4.1, which was 90 minutes after a meal. Should it be this low? Yeah, won't worry about it. I'm doing this 2-week continual glucose monitor experiment now. Here I am at 4.4. which I know is a little bit higher, but 4.1 for the people that talk in milligrams per deciliter is about 74 milligrams per deciliter. And where I am at the moment is 79. We're talking, minuscule amounts of sugar in between those two there. So yeah, 4.1 is pretty good. Be interesting if it's new. Also, don't forget it's got to calibrate and get used to you, and you can always double check as well if you've got a glucose monitor with a finger prick thing that you do. You can test what the monitor is saying is similar. It won't be the same, by the way, because of the way it measures the blood glucose, because the continual glucose monitor is not measuring blood glucose. It's an algorithm based on the interstitial tissue, which is the fluid in between the bloodstream and the cell, basically. And it just works out roughly where your blood glucose is going. So it's not going to be bang on, the reason I say that is because you shouldn't really worry about these very small margins. 4.1, 4.4, 4.9. There's not much in it, really. I mean, I think the American numbers are better, as in when you get to the diabetic threshold, instead of being 7, it's 126. It just sounds worse. And you're pre-diabetic at 100 rather than 5.6. So, I actually prefer the milligrams per deciliter. I think it does get the point across what's going on. But yeah, the difference between 74 and say 79, where I am, it's not much. And it's National Diabetes Day on Thursday. For those that are interested, I'm doing a live. I'm going to do a 2-part live and go through my 2 weeks of the continual glucose monitor. I don't think it's a spoiler alert, because I did the live test with the banana, and that spiked my blood glucose like you would not believe. And we did that one live, just one banana. But I will also be talking about things that are wrong with the continual glucose monitor, or basically the feedback that they give you. So even though one of the foods spiked my blood glucose the worst, right, it is in the mainstream narrative as one of the best things to eat. So this week going forward, it's still recommended I eat it, even though it spiked it worse than anything else. Right. So why is that? It's because it's not looking at the numbers really with a critical eye. It's doing a sort of fudge of the mainstream recommendations about food. But so you need to take the numbers and then do your own research. And if something spikes, I hate the word spike, but elevates your blood glucose and it takes a long time to fall, you can look at that and think, well, I wonder what's happening there. You can also look at it where it elevates quite quickly and drops quite quickly. So anyway, I'm boring the guys here. If anyone else wants to step in, or we'll go to the next question, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'd say 4.1 was low, if anything. Of course, if we look at the digestive capacity, digestive rate of the stomach, you're looking at a meal, if you eat, say, 12 o'clock midday, you're looking at maybe 30 to 60 minutes afterwards that actually leaves the stomach, then begins to go through the intestines and goes through the bloodstream. I'll be more keen to know what it's like about 2 hours after the meal and 3 hours after the meal. And you mentioned a good point as well about the spike versus the area under the curve, that sort of thing. And it may have been if you tested this, Carol, half an hour after after having the food, it might have been like 9. You don't know. You wouldn't have known because you haven't done the test. But if you've got healthy pancreas, the body's doing its job secreting the amount of insulin relevant to the amount of glucose that you're taking into the bloodstream, then your body's going to do exactly what it needs to do, and it sounds like it probably is. If you're concerned about it, I'd look at your subjective markers, how you feel, if you're irritable, if you're cold sweat. Most people won't typically experience that until they're below about 3. In my experience, I've had mine as low as about 1.82 before, and that was horrendous. So if it was too low, you would know it's too low. Your body would tell you really, really concrete, obvious subjective markers like that. What else is there to say about it, really? Yeah, I mean, don't go looking for problems that don't exist. If you feel fine, your blood's doing what's meant to do, and it is, it's within range. It's not 20 and it's not 2. I don't see an issue personally, but does anyone else have any other sort of contributing thoughts?
No, we'll move on to the next question then, which is cool. Rianne, I guess that's how you pronounce that. Hi, I have been eating OMAD. For those that don't know, if they're new to this, that's 1 meal a day for most of my adult life due to my work. I converted to carnivore in 2022 and lost about 25 kilograms, which I'm assuming you wanted to lose that because you haven't put that was too much. Then it all stopped for more than a year now. I'm currently I'm currently 109 kilograms, still OMAD, 53 years old, and definitely a male. Any suggestions? So I'm assuming you want to lose weight. Yeah.
First question: are you still eating dairy? I think that's one thing that tends to slow it down. I don't know. I have more questions than answers there, really. Anybody got anything else?
What are the questions? What are the questions, Phil?
Well, but how much he's eating, exactly what he's eating, how much fat to protein ratio, how his light environment is, all that kind of thing, really, that you have to look at. But one of the main things straight away for me is dairy. I know I stay a lot leaner without dairy than I do with it, so even a little bit. So
And
I suppose. Well, how much weight do you want to look like? How much fat do you want to lose? Are you looking good? Are you feeling good? I don't know. You said you've lost 25 kilograms, but now it's stopped. Is that maybe it's a good thing that it stopped? I don't know.
There's going to be a reason, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, usually it stops like that after that long. I mean, your body's probably quite happy. It's probably sitting where it wants to sit, unless you feel like it's not, and you know that it's not, and then there's obviously something else going on. It could be that you're not even eating enough fat, but I'm sure that you probably are. If you've been, how long now? 2022. You're eating properly, I'm sure. But yeah,
I think.
Sorry,
I'm still trying to answer this question. I've tried 4 times now.
Sorry.
4 times, guys. Go on. Yeah, like Phil said, we need to know what you're eating. I've honestly had so many people approach me before in the past saying, I'm stuck, I'm on OMAD, intermittent fasting, an hour of cardio a day, an hour of weights every day, I'm barely eating anything. You ask how much they're eating. Oh, I just do a kilo of meat per day. That could be too much. If I imagine it's a female, Rianne, is over fat at 109 kilograms, but her actual ideal body mass...
Definitely a male, Jonathan, he says.
Okay. If their ideal mass is say 50 kilos and they're 59 kilos above, but they're eating for a 109 kilo man, not a 50 kilogram man, then there's your problem. No, not many people that are watching this right now should be eating a kilo of meat per day, if I'm honest. Very, 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 very few people. I personally have like consultation and coaching clients. Typically, most people that are carnivore, that are male, healthy, even physically active, are eating about 600 to 800 grams of meat per day, and that's the physically active people. So I'd use that as a loose guideline, but we'd need a lot more context information, as the guys have absolutely rightly said. So yeah, cheers. That's all I had to say on that one. We've all got videos on fat loss and things, I'm sure, so you can browse through. I've got a playlist myself. It says fat loss or contest prep or nutrition tracking. You watch all of those, you'll find your answer, guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed.
Cool. Right. Okay. Now we got Ho Ang. I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm sorry if I keep murdering all the names. After 6 months on carnivore, I've noticed that I no longer like chicken. Why is this? Are my tastes changing? Is it because chicken is leaner than red meat?
Yeah, I don't really enjoy chicken as much now. And actually, if I eat too much of it, when I say too much, it only takes maybe like 3 or 4 legs or drumsticks or something like that. I almost get sort of symptoms of similarly to if I was to consume seed oils. I feel it in my chest. I feel like a repeating sensation. It's obviously the omega-6 to 3 ratio, perhaps. Yeah, not the right fat, not the right type of food. Not for me anyway. Half the time they're not eating the right stuff. So yeah, I certainly went off it. And sometimes I'll crave it, but I know I'm not supposed to eat it. I know that my body's kind of, I don't know, conflating 2 different things, perhaps. If I overeat chicken, I don't feel right. I don't feel the same on pork. Pork's fine, as long as it's high quality. So, yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because pork's worse for me. Lee, when you crave chicken, when you really crave it and you eat it, does it have less effect than when you don't crave it but just eat it because it's there? Because I get that. There's something in it that I seem to crave occasionally, but very occasionally.
I think a couple of times I've just craved it and thought, oh, look, how many wings do you want? I'm like 10. Or how many legs? Oh, I'll have 4 of them. And you stick them all in and they're all crisped up and it tastes amazing. You sort of chowing down on it. An hour and a half passes and I'm like, yeah, chicken isn't really working for me. It's one of those types of things. But yeah, I just get carried away. I'm a bit obsessive with things. So yeah, carnivore suits me because I can just jump all in.
It's interesting because, like when I watch my son, if I give him chicken, he'll eat a hell of a lot. If I give him beef, he'll eat a sort of medium amount. And then sometimes he'll say, oh, you're cooking some liver. Can I have some? And he'll eat a bowl of it or a plate of it or whatever. And then you say, do you want some more? And tomorrow, the next day, and he goes, oh, no.
Yeah.
No, and it's only a little bit he'll eat. And then, although he craves it, and you can see it in kids because they're not intellectualizing about this. Yeah. And the chicken thing is interesting because, he'll eat a ton of it and then wants more and more. And it's almost like the body is hunting for nutrition because there isn't so much in chicken. Yeah, I even see it with the cat. If I give him really lean beef, he'll eat a little bit of it, if a medium amount or whatever. If I give him liver, he'll eat a small amount, but he loves it. If I give him chicken or turkey, he'll eat a hell of a lot. But if you put the beef and the chicken next to each other, he'll go for the beef and wander out the cat flap, and won't touch the chicken. So it's interesting. It's about the nutritional content, I think, in it.
Yeah, I agree. And I do always eat red meat first. So no matter what I want to accompany it with, even on my fish day, have a bit of lobster or whatever, always eat red meat first. I think a lot of people make the mistake of eating cheese first or something. Don't start with cheese. That's my opinion. Don't start with the cheese. Start with the red meat. Go down the hierarchy if you like. And if you still fancy a bit of cheese, great. Have a little bit of cheese. Job's done, kind of thing. But yeah, I agree.
It's an interesting topic, this thing about chicken. I always get asked about, like, oh, can I just do chicken on this diet? I'm like, well, tell me that 2 months along the line, you won't be eating nearly as much chicken. It's a good question, and I absolutely completely understand where it's coming from. Chicken, the Western world where we live, is absolutely indicated in every supermarket what you go to. We can find chicken snacks, chicken ready meals, easy peasy. Now try and go to the shop, go to local Morrison's, find a beef curry, then look for a chicken curry. You'll find about 10-fold more chicken curries than beef curries. It's part of it is the cultural aspect of it, and I think that's a minor, but also what what Phil certainly said. The thing about chicken is it does actually have, with the exception of one or two, being, I believe, zinc and iron, it does actually have more minerals in it per 100 grams than beef. So if you're someone that is needing or requiring more iron or more B12 or zinc for repair, you go to the gym, it's going to have the creatine in it. It's your body saying, okay, this has a nutritional profile that is absolutely perfectly aligned with what I'm trying to achieve. And Lee also touched on a good point, and I can't stress that enough. Do not have the hyperpalatable foods first if your goal is body composition. Now, when it comes to Christmas Day, which is coming in about a month and a half or so, I'm going to be eating all the cheese first. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm going to do that for the hedonism, the enjoyment factor. But yeah, I think that chicken tends to be leaner, less nutritious overall for a lot of people, less similar to human meat, in my opinion. Not that I've tried it, but to what I've extrapolated from looking at the amino acid composition of a human being, muscle tissue, versus a cow, versus chicken, poultry. Yeah, it's much more similar. So I think eating more similar to what we try to achieve through the diet is key. And no, eating eyeballs is not going to grow back a set of eyeballs if you're blind. It's not going to work that way, guys. But it may help with some sort of antioxidant capacity in some kind of way like that. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the chicken.
Yeah, and I think it's can just be your tastes are changing as well. I mean, I used to like chicken, now I don't, because I'm comparing it to a ribeye or lamb, and I just find those two things more tasty. So sometimes it's as simple as that. I agree with all the guys. There's lots of science to it as well, but in the end, if we take a step back, you might just not like it anymore because you like other things better that you haven't been eating. So anyway, right. Here we go. Labs show my hate it when people say bun. You should be blood urea nitrogen, but that's what everyone says. My bun is 27 and my bun creatinine ratio 32 is elevated after a year on carnivore. Also, sodium is low at 134. Well, yeah, I'll get into that in a second, which I don't understand as I consume plenty of thoughts. Oh, like that, thoughts. A bit Rick Mayerly sort of poet in there. Right. 134 can just simply be that day you was a little bit dehydrated. Because the range is 135. I mean, it's not 135 to 145. So I mean that would not worry me. The blood urea nitrogen goes up on carnivore. It's well known. I cover it in my book, which incidentally the second edition is out now in paperback and hardback, with 135 more pages and a lot more. Because you produce more urea and you produce more creatinine, because there's more protein metabolism going on, therefore more waste. What actually matters, as Jonathan alluded to earlier, is the actual filtration rate of the kidneys. The EGFR, the little e stands for estimated. So even if you pass it on the EGFR, I'm not even worried about it. But if you see EGFR fall a little bit, I would get a cystatin C test, and that can make a huge difference. The last person that was a bit worried about it, they were still all right. They was at 68. They want you to be over 60. They be in the mainstream medicine community. So it was 68. When they did the cystatin C, it was 112. Right. So it can be vastly different when you take out calculations and algorithms. I'm not overly worried about any of those numbers. Of course, I'm not a doctor. I'm just here giving you some information which you can research. You could buy my book and read all about it. I put it in print with lots and lots of references, but it isn't concerning for me. There's other reasons. If you want actual reasons, there's things with kidneys. There's three things it can be. It can be before it gets to the kidney. I don't want to get all sciencey like Rich, but perfusion basically. It can be in the kidney or can be going out of the kidney. So there's three areas to look at when you've got something like this. If you are worried about salts, which I don't think you need to be, you would look at that first. Is the blood getting to the kidney? And that could be, there's many factors to that as well. So from those numbers, if you were my client, I wouldn't be overly worried. If they were my numbers, I wouldn't be overly worried. Right. Okay. We've got a starred thing from Once a Week Man, which I think is Paul. I I have had a cataract develop following eye surgery. Is more surgery my only option? Well, I had eye surgery. I actually had, well, dial back. In my 50s, I've been living with lenses, replacement lenses. So in my 40s, I developed cataract, which I didn't even know was a cataract. I just assumed it was aging. Because things like, small print on these little boxes, I mean, that's, I've not got an affiliate with that particular thing. I couldn't read. I just thought, well, okay, that's just getting old. And then my wife was interested in getting a lens replacement because she was having big problems with her eye. And I just talked to the surgeon and said, oh, this sounds really great. Can I do this? He said, yeah, when you're 50, because we're not allowed to do this for any other reason than sort of essential emergencies. But anyway, I said, well, I am 50, which just so happened to get me in. So I had both my lenses replaced because I had cataracts. And then I developed on the bag that the lens goes into some more cataract material, basically. And they used a laser to just zap it off the bag. So I mean, we can't really give you any advice on that. It's Paul, isn't it? Once a week, man. Anyone else want to say anything?
I'm not an eye specialist. Sorry, I'd leave it with the guys.
Yeah, I have heard, and I've seen results in one person that castor oil eye drops can really help with cataracts. However, I don't know. I mean, lenses, it depends what they're made of and stuff, and how much light they let through. I'd be worried about getting lens replacements. I think that I messed myself about for wearing contact lenses for 30 years and quite often shades over the top of them. And, if you listen to people like Jack Cruz, that this can, ruin the type of light that gets in your eye permanently. But I've also had them lasered, which apparently can be very dangerous too. If I'd have known about that back in 2006 when I had it done, lasered for myopia, short-sightedness, I wouldn't have done it, but I think I've got away with it. So I've now got excellent sight and a few floaters, which suggest that it might have changed the shape of the eye and it's ripping things here and there, but hopefully I won't get a retinal detachment, which can be a problem after that. But as far as it depends on what type of surgery they want to do, mate. I don't know. I think if you can have something lasered off, if it's something like if it's something like Stephen had, then I don't think there's any problem in that. But I would think twice about getting lens replacement with what I know now. Maybe try the castor oil drops. Don't just put castor oil in. Look at the ones. You can find them on Amazon and whatever, and the actual eye drops. It's still a bit gloopy. Only do it at night. You won't see a damn thing if you try and do them in the day. It's very gloopy. So just put it in at night, and there you go. See what happens. It's only a few quid, and it's worth it because it's not invasive and won't do any harm. But worth a go, I'd say.
I mean, I did have a client that cleared up their cataract, and they were absolutely enamored with NAC, N-acetyl carnosine, which is a thing you can get in drops, and it's used in pet. Sorry?
N-acetylcysteine.
No, N-acetyl carnosine. But anyway,
okay.
It's in pet eye drops, and they get cloudy eyes, and when you drop it in their eyes, dogs' eyes are very easy to see when they start to clear up. And also, I think now I've said cloudy eyes in dogs, I think people have seen that. Well, the guy cured his dog's cataracts, and he bought these pet drops for his eyes and cured his cataracts. And I'm not recommending that. But if you go on, even with Amazon, actually, it is out there as a mainstream thing, and it says for people and pets eye drops. So that's my personal experience of one person I've spoken to with a success story of relieving it, and my own personal experience of having a cataract. So hopefully that's a little bit to think about, Paul. And I hope you got my email this morning, because I looked at your bloods for you. I was waiting for Lee to chime in, but it's okay. But because it's something.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add to that, to be honest with you.
Well, you should. I mean, if you clean windows, mate. I mean, it's very similar, isn't it? Just get
It's true, yeah. Just get a good squeegee, little squeegee like this.
Yeah. like that. And this is from Brad. Hi, Ken. Just wanted to drop in and say I appreciate and really enjoy your videos. Keep up the good work, brother.
Thanks for watching, man.
Yeah. I'm just going to correct this person. We are all one. That's 32 milligrams per deciliter and 134 millimoles per liter. That's going to be the wrong way around, and that's not right. I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Right.
Stephen, I got a funny story to tell just quickly.
Oh, go on, please do.
My blood test came through the other day, and my testosterone levels were apparently 6,000 whatever per deciliter. I was like, that's very high. That's a lot of injections, guys. That's a lot of injections. Not much space in your body to put all that oil, if I'm honest. Never mind. I sent it to my bodybuilding coach. He's not a blood specialist. He's bodybuilding coach, and he pointed out I got the conversion wrong. So I thought my test levels were like 10 times above what they would be, but they're actually about 600-700. So there we go. But be so careful for units, guys. If you're looking at it, make sure NG and MG look so similar when you're on that screen on your phone. You type your numbers in, doing your blood work. So easy. I make that mistake. So there we go.
Yes. Right. Next question. Let's have a look. Sorry, I've been listening to everybody rather than doing my job as a host here. So, right, I'll answer this one. Once a week man, has Coach Stephen tried a milk with the glucose monitor? No, I will if you want. There you go. No cravings. Says Hoang, no cravings, no desire to eat anything but meat and eggs. Well, you're in the right diet then.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Let's have a look at this. My cholesterol levels are being on carnivore for a year are insane. 436 total, 297 triglycerides, 63 HDL, 305 LDL, 68 VLDL. Yeah, you need that. I mean, are they the right numbers? I would want to see those bloods, to be honest. That is high. I'd be interested to see that. Are you quite lean as well? But the blood pressure is good. Right. Let's go to this. Rick. Hello, Rick. I find it hard to believe that the carnivore diet would give anyone a heart attack on its own.
Yeah.
So do I. I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Agreed.
You know, having a panel, it's not so I can all look at your face. You can add things if you want.
No, it's
Right.
interesting when people say it's like that woman recently who's been posted all over the place, right? Saying I had a stroke on carnivore.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know, when you look at that, it's obvious. I mean, that something else had gone on, and you know, whatever they'd introduced into people's arms over the past 4 years were probably the culprit for that. But you know, not even a vegan diet is going to hurt you to that extent within a short time. It takes decades to build up into these issues, and if you're on the verge of a heart attack, I don't suppose going carnivore for a couple of months or whatever is going to offset that. It will eventually, but you know, it's not a magic bullet. It's not, you know, meat is not some kind of magic bullet. It's
almost is though.
Can still go wrong afterwards, huh?
It almost is though.
Yeah. You know, give it time. It definitely can be, but there can be things that can happen in the meantime. You know, sure. I mean, when I first went keto, I got kidney stones. I thought, oh my God, it's the meat, but of course it wasn't. It was my spinach smoothies for 6 months beforehand. So, you know, it takes a while to get that confidence with all the brainwashing against meat. But it's not going to.
Yeah, I know the story.
So they do. You can get flares of gout. You can get flares of all sorts of things because it exposes the damage you've done. When you take that stuff out, certain things that the body can get rid of, that will flag up. And you go, oh, I'm getting this horrible pain. Oh, this isn't working for me. Like 1 week in or 2 weeks in. That's obviously not the case. You know, I mean, in a wild setting, you have to eat meat. You will not survive if you don't eat meat or eggs or fish. You know, and this stuff is high in all this similar nutrition, basically. So that it's nourishment. Nourishment doesn't kill people.
Yeah.
And I know the video you mean, Phil, now. And yes, that guy had pre-existing heart conditions. That was the other thing. So it wasn't like out of the blue, because he's been online and talked about the fact that he had pre-existing conditions. So So put that in your pipe and smoke it. So, right, Jason is saying, did you see Dr. Eric Westman review Kent's interview about his ostomy bag? It was largely positive. So, firstly, Lee, as you were the person in it or being reacted to, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was largely positive. I mean, to be fair, it's a YouTube thumbnail. I mean, I do believe that there is some level of truth to it, as in I can prove it. It's one argument, obviously. He basically doesn't think it's proof, and I don't disagree with him really in many ways. It's not necessarily proof, but he didn't disagree with my physiology facts, gut health, what happens, the process of fiber, if we don't have fiber and we have ketones, etc. So he agreed with the things that that he should agree on if I'm going to say those things. You have to be sensational to a point on YouTube without being too clickbaity. I don't like to mislead people. I'm definitely not lying about anything. But yeah, no, that's the second time he's reviewed a video. I think the first one was probably a little bit more positive overall, but really he didn't disagree with anything other than the fact that he's not persuaded that it's proof, and I don't disagree with him really on that. So yeah.
Anyone else? I'm guessing no. Right, I'm doing my job now. I'm actually putting things, starring things as well. So Charmaine, are there any tips and tricks to help gain weight on carnivore? I've always been slim, but since going carnivore, I've lost a few pounds. I'm 5'6" and 118 pounds. Should I bring in carbs?
The talk in Spain I gave, I did a big section on this business about going through the emaciation phase. Now, it doesn't sound like emaciation there, Charmaine, but I was more in the context of autoimmune conditions when you're really severely inflamed and can get very, very skinny. And, Natasha Campbell-McBride's covered this, Shafir Clements has covered this, and you can get very skinny. It's happened to me twice, really skinny. I'm still skinnier than I'd like. And, now do I think I'm going to bring in carbs? No, I think I'm going to train more. Because, the only way really to put on some healthy weight when you're carnivore is to go and lift some heavy stuff. Because, you can add a load of dairy, you can add a load of carbs, and you can put a load of fat on again. But I wouldn't be thinking about adding weight. I'd be thinking about adding muscle mass and bone density and, getting the body composition right. You will definitely lose fat. Let's not say losing a few pounds of weight or whatever. It's fat that you lose really on carnivore, as long as you're eating enough, and your bone density and muscle mass will stay constant while you're eating it. I mean, when I got past that emaciation phase last time, I've put on 20 pounds since then without any training at all. And so the body does stabilize in time, but if you want to put on weight, don't bring in carbs. I think that's no need at all. You'll put on the wrong weight. Lift some heavy stuff and eat a bit more meat and fat.
Oh wow, we've got our first troll comment. There we go. Took 40 minutes. There we go. Let's just totally ignore the person in the chat who said that. Let's totally
we're all sitting down.
I was doing that. Right. I suffered in terrible pain, fatigue, depression, and memory loss for almost 20 years. Eventually diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I found carnivore, and I'm on day 12. BBBE diet. That's beef, bacon, butter, and eggs. And almost all symptoms have gone. Yeah.
Nice one.
Good.
Very good.
Nice. Great. MJ. Hi, MJ. Thoughts on training one body part per day? This is possibly Jonathan. I try and hit each twice a week.
Yeah, that works. I mean, what it comes down to isn't, do one set of this many times per week. It all comes down to doing the minimal effective dose at a rate and frequency and volume that you can recover from. So asking, I know kind of what you're asking. It's a very good question. It does require a lot of detail to properly go into the weeds. It's about 45-minute lecture, basically. Basically, what you need to do to get stronger or gain more muscle, whatever your goal is. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Don't change it. Now, if you enjoy training, it's on like to go to the gym every day or do something in the gym to keep active. Yeah, just split up the volume. I find that volume does seem to be equated in that if your total training is, for example, myself, it's about 20, maybe 25 sets per week, I train at roughly concentric muscular failure, then that's all I can do. Now, if I do legs 3 times per week, which I'm doing now, or do it twice per week, it doesn't really matter. You've just got to try and work out which one of the 2 levels of frequency is appropriate for you. Then adjust your volume after you've adjusted your intensity level. Ideally, you train as intensely as possible to maximize the benefit whilst reducing the wear and tear and strain your joints. So myself and Phil were quite big proponents of high intensity style training, slow controlled movements, big powerful movements which involve lots of major muscle groups, and that's essentially it. So it's an experimental thing. It's not a case of what can we prescribe to you to do. If I prescribed my brother's workout, which I'd say is mid-level volume, to myself, I'd be in a wheelchair, I'd be in a hospital. Now, Lee, I'm sure if I got Lee to go to the gym with me, after a few weeks of getting used to it, learning movements, he'd be able to do more sets than me. No doubt whatsoever in my mind. His recovery is probably better than mine for resistance training. Potentially, maybe, I don't know. But it'd be a different case of Phil, a different case of Stephen. So you got to find out where you lie on that recovery spectrum. And it is so individual. There's no absolutes in bodybuilding. There's no rules in bodybuilding either. If you want to do 1 set per, so, say for example, you've got massive quads. You're a lady, for example, and you've got massive thighs. You might benefit from doing 1 set of, I don't know, bodyweight squats every 3 weeks. I know bodybuilders that train legs once every 3 weeks. It takes about 3 weeks of total detraining the body, and then 0 resistance training, to actually start to lose muscle tissue anyway. So, do you see how broad of an answer it is? But hopefully that gives you some insights into what you actually need to do in the gym and how much intensity, volume, and frequency you might have to apply.
That's brilliant. Sorry, I was wondering if anyone else was going to chime in there. And we got Lilith here. Thank you very much for the super chat, £5. Every little helps, guys. Every little helps. Any ideas on how to fix depression and anxiety? Carnivore 4 years, BE mainly, but I have some fish and lamb. Do I need to supplement calcium?
Don't supplement calcium. I wouldn't. In my opinion, I think if you've been doing carnivore for that long, make sure you're eating enough fat. I'm sure you probably are by now. I would encourage you sort of increase these other lifestyle hacks. Get up with the sunrise, find yourself some kind of activity that you can do outside and be productive. I think just sitting around at home in a box is the worst place to be if you've got depression. I think you need to do things that are hard, challenge yourself, solve problems, get up early, go to bed early. I think there's more to it than just diet. I mean, for me, the diet seemed to play a humongous part. Everything else kind of took care of itself. But for me, I need to be on this diet to have the right outlook. I didn't have the strength to kind of pick myself up and do what I could have told other people to do. The advice that I would have given myself, it would have been hard for me to take that advice if I was still eating a load of carbs. My problem seemed to be mostly fixed by changing my diet. But in addition to that, there are other things, get outside enough, get enough sunlight, block blue light in the evenings, which I'm about to do right now, actually. And yeah, be super productive, take up hobbies, do things that take you out of your comfort zone, definitely. Even if that involves just, I don't know, having a big bucket of cold water thrown over you before you start your day. Just do it. Seriously. That's what I would say.
Phil?
Yeah, I think so. I think all of those things, and also gratitude. If I wake up pissed off in the morning, sometimes you wake up and you go, oh, I can't be asked to get out of bed. You just think of what you've got. You think of your friends, you think of your family, you think of everything that you do, and just have real gratitude for certain things. Because, it's a real miracle being alive, to be honest. And it's however you feel, it's a hell of a lot better than not feeling anything and not being here, right? We're here. It's a miracle. Be grateful. I think gratitude is huge. It certainly gets me out of bed on those days where you think, I can't really be bothered. I can't be asked. And you realize that you are a hell of a lot luckier than most people.
Yeah. Even
pain,
guys? Pain's a reminder, isn't it? You're alive. Some people miss pain. You know, I think I've heard stories about people that don't feel pain and they miss it. They want to feel pain again because it's like they feel more alive. But anyway, go on, Jonathan.
Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm so glad that none of you have gone into too much depth about the diet side of it, because I don't think the diet is absolutely everything either. It's been all of our experience speaking with people, you know, what's your diet? And I made a video, I think, today. I was saying, yeah, most people don't really mess up the carnivore diet that much, but people that try to push extremes for extreme results do. They do it every single time. I, for example, probably wouldn't be here right now. I'd have topped myself about maybe a month or two ago. But I was imminently waiting for my brother, for the date that my brother was going to basically have his first child, which has been quite a tricky thing to do. So I'm grateful, like Phil said, and I've got the opportunity now to be an uncle. Had that opportunity not have passed, I wouldn't be sat here in the stream right now. That would have been it. My level of suffering is beyond what humans should go through. Absolutely disgusting level. I'm disgusted by the NHS and what they've done to me. They've not helped me at all. And am I depressed? No, I have a certain level of calmness about me, but that's because of the diet. I've omitted that psychosomatic effect that people typically get when they have the blood sugar rush and crashes. So I've got rid of a whole element of problematic situations by mitigating the blood sugar crashes. So that's allowed this thing to come to the forefront, to do the right thing, to get my mental state, my disposition in a better place, basically. But yeah, I'm completely bored of what he said. And to be specific about what Lilith said, I know her from Harry Sparns streams. Calcium supplementation does not cause heart disease. I'm happy to debate anyone on this, and I've tried to a lot of times. It's extrapolated from data based on a Western diet where they've taken significantly more calcium than what you'd find in a diet which is a carnivore diet. So you don't have the science on it. We also don't have people coming at us left, right and centre saying, oh, I have dairy every day and follow the carnivore diet. Now I've got heart disease. Now any inflammatory markers are going up as a representation of a poor circulatory system. That doesn't exist, so it's not factually true. But then saying, well, do you need to supplement with it? That causes an array of issues with it itself. These supplements, guys, a lot of them are not great for your guts. You know, calcium oxide, carbonate, citrate, all these different things. You don't know what's going to do what in your body. You don't know what effects it's going to have in your guts. If you've got a leaky gut, maybe you don't have loads of calcium citrate each day. Maybe you just need literally a shot of milk, and that will do the job. People also don't take notice of the fact that D3 and K2 do absolutely get rid of, or at least prevent the heart from having all this arterial plaque sort of build up, because it directs calcium where it needs to go. Now, I did an experiment myself with that in mind. So I thought, okay, I can't do the lion diet because the calcium is too low. A beef and lamb diet does not work for me, full stop. My anxiety goes right up and I feel like shit, if I'm honest. I'm sorry for swearing, but I do feel like crap. My heart rate goes up significantly to the point where I'm like, what is going on? As if I've had a low blood sugar crash. What did I do? I added in, cheeky plug, but it is what I did. I added in Keto Pro BHB, which does have calcium beta hydroxybutyrate in it. That staved off the effects of having a low blood calcium level, or a tissue selective blood calcium level, which meant that I didn't have the issue with low blood glucose because the function of the pancreas could work effectively. If you don't have enough calcium in your body, the pancreas will not secrete insulin the right way. I'm not too absolutely sure on the science of it, but I've read something and put some things together, and that seems to be the most reasonable explanation to me. But yeah, maybe you don't need a calcium supplement. Maybe you just need some, BHB, ketone bodies plugged in your system. That might do the job. But yeah, sardines have bones in them. If you eat 2 tins of sardines a day, you're probably going to get all the calcium you need alongside a animal food diet. And that's if you're omitting dairy. So there's hacks around it. For me, the sardine and the calcium content in the sardines, a can or two a day is not going to cut it. I resistance train, have my spine fused. I'm 6'1", heavily muscled, all that sort of stuff. I'm sweaty as hell sometimes. it doesn't cut it, so I need a bit more to my diet. I'm an extreme example, so whenever I see something, I'm taking it from the perspective of a UK carnivore bodybuilder with autism, but I try to go around it a little bit and try to give people the right direction. But these guys all have their own expertise, absolutely relevant in their field. So I'd probably go to Stephen for this sort of question. I don't think he talked too much about depression or anxiety in the past, but I'd certainly look at blood work to see if there is a physiological issue, and if there isn't, do what the other guy said: go out, jump rope, spend time with your family, get your life in order, get your affairs in order. That's what you need to do. You don't realize how much of a subtle effect they can have when you begin to put all these 1% things together. But yeah, that's my my tangent. So apologies for that.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's there's nothing to add really. I think you're right there about the BHB and exogenous ketones, even MCT or C8 may help. But I think all the other things are more important, because you could take all that wonderful nutrition and be sitting in a dark room with no friends, not doing anything. Just saying that, surely that makes you think, yeah, that would make me pretty depressed and anxious. So I think it is about activities, and not belittling people who choose to be on their own as well, because obviously that's a choice. But I'm just saying that in the greater population, I think that's a sort of thing to do. And I like Lee's recommendation about activity as well, without a shadow of a doubt. Some activities.
Like as well, it might sound like a random thing, but stop watching porn and stop being on social media all the time. That's
dopamine.
I wasn't, Lee. I'm doing this.
Can't do it now, mate. Watch it later. But yeah, that's big. I think that's huge, in my opinion. Stop all that.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, that is a reference to a very bad joke, where a bloke goes to the doctor and the doctor says, well, one thing I would say is you do need to stop masturbating. And the bloke goes, well, why is that? He said, because I'm trying to examine you. So,
Andrew made a good point. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Andrew, you made a good point about the red light therapy. I would say that's been a massive biohack for myself, for me, and quite a few people I've spoken to. So that's something you could look at. My one costs about £70. I use it 2 to 3 times per day, 20, 30 minutes. I do feel instantly calmer, or at least within minutes of being under it. So that's something to look at as well. You notice this gentleman and me both have red lights on right now. So there we go. Yeah,
I'm letting the team down. Right, so let's get into the next question then. I'm just going to jump the very sort of general questions and try and get into things like this. We'll get this out of the way and we'll get into more specific ones. Would you say that 700 grams of pork belly, 500 grams of beef mince and 4 eggs is too much to eat?
Depends how big.
That's exactly what I find everyone's on. About half a kilo to 700 grams of meat with about 4 eggs. That's what everyone I speak to is doing. Largely speak, like 95% people I know.
Right. Sorry, I brought the tone of the show down. Right. Here's a nice simple one for us. Maybe we can end around this. What is your favorite carnivore meal, guys?
Mine is those really nice fatty beef short ribs, I think. Just done slowly in the oven. They are just amazing. If you get some good ones, that's my favorite. Or fatty lamb. That's me.
I think I would say T-bone barbecued with some lobster and butter. That's probably my favorite.
Oh, yes. That sounds good.
Yeah.
For me, it's going to be beef brisket with a shed load of cheese in it. And I'm talking like cheddar, parmesan, double Gloucester, red Leicester, mozzarella, cream cheese, the lot, all of them. A bit of salt as well, just to really up that sodium game. But yeah, beef brisket and cheese. That's me.
I got to say that'd probably be my favorite too if I could take dairy, but I can't. But yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I like Jonathan's answer. He should reframe that as cheese with a little bit of meat. But yeah, and I like top of the leg of lamb. I think that's the nicest cut I have. I do think that's the juiciest thing. Just stuck in oven and roasted. That's it. I like all the other stuff, by the way, that everyone said, but that is the thing that does it for me. Right. So we've got 5 minutes. If you guys have seen anything you want to address, can you do that now? Because there haven't been that many actual sort of questions, lots of comments and statements. But
There's one about water and fluoride, but it's not really a question. It's basically saying, MJ said, thinking of changing to Evian spring water, no fluoride, changed from fluoride toothpaste. I'm surprised you can find an Evian without fluoride in it, because they add it to every bottle that I've seen in the supermarket, in the UK at least. And a non-fluoride toothpaste, you're looking at Kingfisher brand, which is pretty good. Yeah, I mean, if you're drinking tap water, but then you're having, if you're having fluoridated toothpaste, but then drinking specialist pure fluoride-free water, you're pissing in the wind. Your toothpaste is going to be a bigger impactor of fluoride, basically. Sorry, my British colloquialisms there, but yeah, make sure you get the toothpaste right. That's for sure.
It's insane. I mean, I think there's in America now, they've suddenly decided, or certain states, to never put fluoride in anymore. But also a horrendous thing near me in Blackpool, they've decided to add fluoride to the kids' milk at school. Unbelievable. Anyway, there we go.
Not many hypothyroid people out there, apparently. Not enough. Yeah. We need more of them. That's what they're saying, basically. If you look in the hidden terms, you know.
Yeah. All right. I can't believe that about the milk. That's just awful, isn't it? Right. Is everyone happy?
No, I'm depressed.
Yeah, good. I think there's one here where I'd like to just have a very quick go at. When I discuss carnivore with others who are vegetarians, they say whatever works for you is good. Is it possible that carnivore doesn't work for all humans? I like Anthony Chaffee's response on this, that if there wasn't an ideal diet for humans, we'd be the only species in nature that was true for. And, you know, I think we can get away with small amounts of plant matter seasonally and locally, and that's absolutely fine. But meat is the only thing that gives you everything you need and none of the anti-nutrients and toxins. So, you know, vegetarians can argue about that all day long. But when people go, oh, well, one size doesn't fit all, you can be sure of one thing. They've never tried carnivore.
Yeah. And I think
that's a good point.
If you look at history, if you look at the hominid line, I mean, 3.5 million years ago, we had young Lucy, Australopithecus, you know, and she had amylase, genetics for amylase everywhere because we were eating lots and lots of plants. And then about 350,000 years ago, that was completely flipped on its head, wasn't it? We started to eat lots of meat, and over that period of time, from 3.5 million to 350,000 years, our brains developed very slowly. The headspace developed very slowly. The way we walked, all the tools, very slow. As soon as we added meat, wow, headspace got bigger. Therefore, brain capacity probably got bigger. I mean, you can't say that categorically because soft tissue doesn't last. But I mean, that would be the reason for that. Our digestive system changed. The tool use changed. It all started happening once we started eating meat. And again, with stable isotope testing, we can prove that as well. The reason I'm saying that is because there's been this stupid vegan thing about, there's amylase genetics from 800,000 years ago proves we should eat plants. No, actually, you're an idiot, because there's less amylase genetics than there was 3.5 million years ago. So we've actually downgraded that rather than added that. So you've got to look at your proper lineage.
This is a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I think
this enormous rabbit hole. Let's not go down it. Let's not. No, absolutely not. We'll be here for 20 minutes.
Don't worry, Jonathan. I'm not going down it. I'm just going to say this lovely thing where they say, you know, our ancestors ate plants, and well, what happened? You see, some of our ancestors still eat plants, and they're swinging around in trees, throwing poo at each other. And you're watching a video. So seriously, eat some.
There's five. Okay. There's five things which people may have, which will prevent them from following a strict carnivore diet. I can't remember any of them because I made the video about 4 months ago, but they do exist, and I have met people with each of those problems. Incredibly rare, but there's about 5 of them. One of them is a Lone Star tick, but it is possible, but it's so unlikely, guys. So unlikely.
Yeah, if you get the alpha gal tick, I've had clients with that, and that actually can be resolved, and you can use feathers, fish, fowl, all that stuff. There's loads of ways around that as well, actually. So anyway, we're going to say thanks everyone for tuning in. Each of you, would you like, starting with Lee, would you like to plug your channel or anything like that, or anything you got coming up? So Lee first.
Subscribe if you haven't already. Kent Carnivore. That's me. Name's Lee, by the way. That's it. Have a good evening.
He's acing these videos at the moment. I can't miss any of the ones he brings out. They're absolutely brilliant. Yeah, if people can see my Substack under there, philescott.substack.com. If you sign up there for free, there's free ebooks and stuff like that. But also keep abreast of the events we got coming up, because they really are great. I think we put on the best events. So come along, check them out.
Yeah, I second that. I'm Jonathan from Carnivore Muscle YouTube channel. You can find me at compositionconsult.com for ebooks, services, consultations, coaching, diet plans, training plans, all that sort of thing. Body composition expert, that's what I do. That's what I like to talk about. And I can talk for hours about it, so book in for plenty of time. And that's all I have to say. Thanks very much.
Yes, thanks everyone for watching. And hopefully you can check my live out on Thursday. There you go. That's me. I'm doing a thing about things, all diabetic on National Diabetes Day. So, yep, bye.